My boyfriend took me on a paranormal investigation trip, and it didn't go as planned. I didn't want to go. I only agreed to go with my boyfriend and a few of his friends because of pure curiosity. When I was younger, I used to have paranormal experiences, and I've even been caught speaking to spirits. Plus, it was Halloween, and my boyfriend was looking forward to this moment and wanted me to be there. His eyes sparkled every time he talked about doing a professional investigation, and I just couldn't say no to him. We got in my car, and I started driving to the nearest graveyard to meet his friends. While on the road, I asked my boyfriend, "You didn't bring a Ouija board, did you? Those things aren't toys, you know." He insisted that he didn't bring one, and I stopped panicking momentarily. When we got there, his friends sat around a grave close to the entrance. After greeting them, we joined them. I was the only woman in the group, and it terrified me. One of the guys started, "Before we get into this, we should probably introduce ourselves to the spirits here so they feel more comfortable talking with us." Everyone in the circle agreed, and we went down the line saying our names and ages. Each of us took a paranormal gadget, and the investigation started. If there's anyone here that would like to speak to us, please don't hesitate to communicate. No answer. Please give us a sign that you're here. It'd be really helpful for this investigation. As soon as that sentence was finished, I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Someone was watching us. Glancing around the graveyard, nothing seemed to catch my eyes. I focused on the investigation again. We're sitting in front of a grave right now. Does the owner of this grave wish to speak with us? No answer. Please, can anyone talk to us? The group began getting desperate. My boyfriend went to the car, claiming he knew how to make the spirits talk. He came back with a box in his hands. Sitting down, he opened it, revealing a raggedy-looking Ouija board. "I told you not to bring a Ouija board. Where did you even find one?" A smug grin spread across his face before setting up the board. He ignored my questions and made everyone put their hands on the planchet. "This is a bad idea. I'm telling you right now. I would have gotten in my car and driven home without him, but something in my head told me to put my hands down and continue the investigation." "Is there anyone here?" we asked as the planchet started to move to the yes side of the board. Everyone started freaking out, but I was still fuming. I couldn't believe my boyfriend went against my wishes, and I was honestly considering breaking up with him. The group asked a couple more questions before asking the spirit for its name. As soon as the planchet went to the letter L, I stopped the group. "Guys, this is really bad." The planchet continued, and the letters U, C, I, F, E, R appeared and went away. We all glanced at each other, too scared to continue. My boyfriend tried to move the planchet to buy, but it didn't budge. He tried once more, putting all his strength into the palms of his hands, but it still didn't move an inch. The planchet began to move again, and it spelled out my name. Everyone eyed me as I stared at the board in awe. "Do you want me to do something?" I asked, and the wooden piece moved to the letters L-O-O-K. Everyone took their hands off, and I brought the planchet up to my eyes, searching through the looking glass for anything. Gazing around the group, I couldn't find anything. I pointed the planchet to the woods behind the graveyard, and that's where I saw him. His silhouette was immediately recognizable, as his goat-like horns could be seen. He didn't look like what I'd expected. From what I could see, he looked very muscular and attractive. His eyes glowed a dark red color, and his smile seemed menacing as he watched in amusement. "Do you see anything?" My eyes snapped over to my boyfriend. I tried to say yes, but my voice was silenced. It was like he didn't want them to see him. I let out a quiet no, and we decided to put the Ouija board away and split up to investigate further. I brought a radio and sat in the woods to see if I could speak to him again. I asked a few simple questions, but I didn't get any responses. The man that I saw through the looking glass, who was that? Between the sounds of static, the words, "the devil," could be heard. The hairs on the back of my neck stood tall again, and I glanced at the rest of the group, who didn't hear anything. Soon the fear turned into curiosity and excitement. I had gotten proof of not only the paranormal, but the devil himself. "Where are you right now?" Almost immediately, I got feedback from the radio. "Behind you." Turning around, I saw someone's ankles in front of me. Scanning up the figure, I knew there was no mistaking him for someone else. Here in the flesh stood the devil right in front of me, sadistically smirking. Standing up, I faced him. He was huge, at least 7 feet tall. He wore a torn-up maroon suit that exposed parts of his body. I managed to mutter the words, "What do you want?" His smile grew wider as he pulled me closer to him. "I want you." Suddenly, my entire body burned, as if I were being set on fire. I let out the loudest scream that my body could produce, hoping to alarm the rest of the group. Thankfully, they heard and started running toward me. Before they reached me, I collapsed, no longer feeling the devil's presence. The group huddled around me. The last thing I saw before I blacked out was my boyfriend bending over to pick me up. I woke up in the hospital with nurses surrounding me. When they noticed I was awake, they bombarded me with questions. "How do you feel? Do you feel all right? Here, have some water. Are you sure you don't feel hot? We can lower the air conditioning again if you want." Glancing around the room, I stumbled upon my body, which was covered in bandages. Memories of the night prior played in my head as my boyfriend stepped into the room to observe me. "How are you feeling?" he asked me and carefully held my hand. As soon as he touched me, a burning sensation spread around my body. "I feel hot." He removed the light sheet that covered my legs and turned the air conditioning down. "The nurses said you have the worst case of 4th-degree burns they've ever seen. Do you remember what happened?" My mind was clouded by anger. This wouldn't have happened if you hadn't brought that Ouija board. My boyfriend nodded in agreement and walked to the back of the room and came back with a mirror. "Whatever burned you last night must have spread to your face." I stared at the mirror, looking at my bandaged face. I couldn't even recognize myself, and I was on the verge of tears. My boyfriend tried to hold my hand again, but I smacked his hand away. "I hope you got all the evidence you wanted out of the investigation." He looked at me in shock and backed away. Part of me felt bad for him, but I was rightfully upset. It's been a few hours since then, and I'm writing all of this in the hospital room. I have to go through intensive physical and mental therapy and rounds of medications to get better. Actually, typing all this was part of my physical therapy for my hands, and it's a way to inform people of what happened to me on Halloween night. I haven't talked to my boyfriend since I blew up at him, but I was told he stayed with me since I got here. I'm starting to regret exploding at him, but I think my feelings are valid. My mind still can't process the fact that I came face to face with Lucifer himself. Sometimes, out of the corner of my eyes, I can still see his hefty-looking silhouette staring at me viciously. If this somehow reaches the public, I hope you've all learned about the dangers of Ouija boards and to not let curiosity kill you as it did me.